Salutations, my fellow dudes and dudettes, and welcome back to The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. Last time we we had to rescue our beloved Bow Wow, who is still currently with us. Unfortunately, we can't bring him into the next dungeon, but we also managed to acquire a few goodies. Yeah, that's about it. Apparently, we're now considered an assassin of Lady Meow Meow. It's really weird. Anyways, welcome to level 2. Bottle Grotto. Now this dungeon is going to be a little more complicated than the previous one, but not by much. It just takes a little longer to get through because there's a lot more rooms to traverse through, and I also feel like it takes a little bit longer to actually get to the dungeon item in this, well, dungeon. Get our key over here. Once again, watch out for that guy. You know what's funny? In the original, it looked like they were like thunderballs or something. And then this remake comes out, and it's just like, oh, they're actually just fire this whole time. And we got our stone beak. So just like with the first dungeon, you find an owl statue, you give it the stone beak, and it'll give you a little hint for one of the puzzles in the dungeon. I think we're actually going to be coming up to one particular statue real soon, actually. As we go through here. Yes, right over here. Part of the floor is raised. Tap the shining crystal. If you recall the Tower of Hera back in Link to the Past, this dungeon has the same gimmick. We have all these little floor panels, and they will actually go up and down depending on what color the crystal is. The thing that's funny about this, though, is that in the original Link's Awakening, the crystal was always blue, and it would always, like, all the panels were blue, and it will only like, it would raise and lower the same ones as it would in this remake, but they just kept it the same color for some reason. I guess they want to be consistent, considering the fact that the original had no color, so every floor panel looked the same. But I can't really say for sure why that is. Alright, so now that we have that key, we're gonna go into this bottom door. Oh yeah, actually, now that I actually know their names, they're actually called Stoutfos. The gold ones will actually jump into the air and try to ground pound you. And then you got this guy, Shy Guys. Shy Guys. From Mario 2? Huh. Anyways, with the Shy Guys, they'll mimic your every movement. The only way to take them out is to use a spin attack and to essentially lure them towards you. Like I said, okay, I said they'll mimic your movements, but it's more like they'll mimic the opposite of your movement. So if you go left, they'll go right. If you go up, they'll go down. So you just have to sort of manipulate their movement so you can actually... There. We got another key. Unfortunately, it appeared all the way over there, so I'm sad. We can't just simply push a block and get it, like, right then and there. We actually have to go around for some stupid reason. But, whatever. Also, for the record, hitting those crystals, at least in this game, is actually kind of annoying. Because sometimes, at least through my test playthrough, and I believe it happens at least once during this recording. Whoops. Sorry, I just dropped something. Like, for some reason, Link will like, the crystal it's like the crystal, registers, like, 2 hits from the sword. So, so basically what happens, it changes from orange to blue, and then back to orange, because the game registered you as attacking it twice. Like, getting 2 hits on it. And that can be annoying. That's happened to me a few times. Also, we got the Guardian Acorn, which increases our defense, as you recall. Also, it also makes Link's shrouded in blue, whereas the piece of power shrouds him in red. Make a note of that for a later part in the game. But now we got ourselves a mini-boss. This guy is primarily going to try to grab you and throw you across the room. He also can throw bombs, but as you just saw, I killed him before he actually did that. For some reason, during my test playthrough, he didn't try to throw bombs at all. He just continually tried to grab me. First, defeat the imprisoned Poe's voice. Last, the skeletal thing. I couldn't read that fast enough. Careful with this, that little void thing will suck you in, and that can be a little annoying because you can fall in the pitfalls over and over again. Granted, that's happened to me a lot in this playthrough anyways, but I'll get into that later. Well, there's a lot of these pots in this area. And you probably might have already noticed, but interesting little thing that this game does with the dungeons. The name of the dungeon sort of reflects boos. There are boos in here too? What's with all the Mario enemies? Anyways, all you really have to do is light one of those lanterns and the boos will actively start running away from you. You don't actually have to take them out, because once they disappear off screen, that chest will appear. But you probably already noticed that, with the, the shape of the dungeon reflects the title. This dungeon is called Bottle Grotto. And when you actually look at the full map, it looks like a bottle. Oh, see, perfect timing. I didn't intend that, I swear. But now that we have the power bracelet, we can actually lift those pots and throw them out of our way, and that'll allow us to proceed more through the dungeon. Now, I'm actually going to backtrack a little bit here, and I didn't show this off in the first dungeon. There was really no need to. But when you defeat the mini-boss, this little blue shining floor panel will appear, and this will warp you back to the beginning of the dungeon. And you can use that teleporter to and from. So you can use that to jump around the dungeon a little bit faster. Unfortunately, just about every dungeon only has two. One for the mini-boss and one at the one at the mini-boss, and it'll just take you to the beginning of the dungeon and vice versa. Okay, that was mean, stupid keys. Whatever. You can jump up there, get that magic powder in case you're running a little low. That's not going to be an issue. Magic powder won't, having little magic powder won't be an, won't be an issue soon. Because there is something we're going to be doing, for next time. Gotta say, those gold stuff was giving me more trouble than before. Okay, if you recall from that owl statue, it told us to get rid of the Poe's voice and then the skeletal thing last. Now, we don't know what it means by the Poe's voice, but by process of elimination, you know that the bat is not like a Poe voice or whatever, and the skeleton thing is obviously the last thing they mentioned. So obviously, you take out the bunny thing, which can only be killed by you throwing an object at it. I think it's... I'm not sure if it's actually called a Poe in this game. If it is, that's a weird design for a Poe. But basically, you push those blocks, you throw something at it, preferably a pot, because obviously that's all you see in this dungeon. And then you go for this. Then you go for the keys, and then the Stalfos, and then you'll be able to get the nightmare key. I also forgot to mention this from the first dungeon. Link's Awakening likes to go 2D for some reason. Or I guess and it was like this in the original too. I guess it's a way to harp back to Link's the Adventure of Link. which was the second game in the series, which I'm not playing, by the way. It's literally one of the few Zelda games I have not beaten. I just think it's really, really hard. Okay, cool. We're at the boss. We can actually talk about this now. I was running out. I was paranoid I was going to run out of things to say. All right, we got our second boss, Genie. Interesting name. That's the weird thing. Link's Awakening's naming conventions for their bosses are kind of lame. Actually, they're actually really, really lame. But anyways, basically the idea is that he's going to throw a bunch of fireballs at you. All you have to do is just dodge them. It has slight homing properties, but if you can bait him out, you're fine. Then you're going to pick up his bottle and then throw it at the wall. You get the idea to pick up the bottle because he says your sword won't do any damage. Even the walls seem tougher than that dinky little thing. So that gives you the idea to throw the bottle at the wall. I actually don't think you had to throw, you didn't have to throw the bottle at the wall in the original. You just threw it and it just did damage. I do not know if that still applies here. I didn't try it. Because that little quote he says, bringing mention of the wall, was added in this remake. You're making me hopping mad! And now with the second phase of this boss fight, he's gonna create 2 after images of himself, and he's gonna randomly appear on one side of the battlefield, and then he's gonna throw a slope of fireball. It homes in on you and actually does a better job at it than those other ones. And once he throws the fireball, he's gonna try and just slap you silly. So what you want to do is you want to try and swing your sword at the fireball because because it does take a couple of swings, you can't get rid of it, or you can just dodge it. And then we're just gonna go for the spin attack. You could totally war of attrition this actually, which is kind of funny. Like you could just straight up do the spin attacks all the time and just take the damage. And you should be just fine regardless. But yeah, that was the Genie. Not too hard of a boss fight. A little tougher than the first one because it actually has a second phase. And it actually poses somewhat of a threat, but otherwise, we're fine. Anyway, we got the magic conch. I mean the conch horn. Conch horn. Sorry. I mean, it is technically magic, so yeah, I guess you could get away with calling it the magic conch. Unfortunately, it won't get me something to eat. Prairie. Prairie. The prairie is waiting. Fascinating. Who's telling me this? Is it the owl or the windfish? Oh wow, he just ate it all in one bite. Alright, kudos to you, Bow Wow. But unfortunately, our adventure together will have to come to an end fairly soon. Unfortunately, that will be next part. But yeah, we managed to get through Bottle Grotto. I don't remember if it's singular or plural. Whatever. We defeated the Genie. We got our conch horn, the second instrument of the 8 that we have to collect throughout the Colon Island. I think we're gonna call it a part. So next time on Link's Awakening, we're gonna deliver Bow Wow back. And now that we have the power bracelet, I think we would be doing ourselves a disservice of not exploring the island and seeing what kind of new stuff we can uncover. So until then, I got a juice.